Welcome to Coffee Talk with Liquidshano 1973. And now here's your host of this podcast, me, Shane Lakita. Good morning, folks. Here we are on another day. We're in the month of August. Can you believe that already? I mean, 2019, we're already into the month of August. And I know if you're going back and listening to some of these episodes, you can kind of follow chronologically of where we're at. But for me, it's a reflective time because I think to myself, two things. One of them is here we are ending or getting into the latter stages of the summer, which makes me sad because any of you know that I live in Scarborough, Maine. I live in a place where the dog days of winter are so long and drawn out and cold and frigid and frozen and just brutal that every single moment that I can get to that I'm enjoying and living and breathing and sitting in the heat of the summer and the sunshine and the green grass and the garden growing are good days for me. And so I'm hoping that you are enjoying the time that you're spending right now, even if it's extremely hot, even if it is one of those days that you walk outside and the sweat hits you and the humidity sits on top of you or whatever it is, wherever you live, just enjoy the moment because I know that I do right now. I'm just enjoying every single second that I can get right now. As many of you know, if you've ever been to Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, anything like that, summer times are really usually pretty good, right? It's a little lower humidity, a little lower key when it comes to the length and dog days of summer. It's pretty great up here. So here's the thing. Last episode, we talked about a lot of stuff and we got a lot of great feedback about it. And there's been a lot going on just in the short week in between one episode to the next. But last episode took place in July. And I'm hoping that it was right at the end of July, and I'm hoping that you were able to achieve your goals for last month. I'm hoping you were able to, whether it's weight loss related, whether it's exercise related, whether it's just something, trying to be able to do something positive for 30 days of the month, whatever it is that your goals were set for the month of July, I'm hoping that you accomplish them. And I'm hoping that if you didn't accomplish them, you still took solace in the fact that you attempted and you tried and you worked and you grinded and you did all the things you needed to do to be able to try to get to the goals that you wanted to get to. So, congratulations on that aspect of it too. But now we're in a new month and this is August and here we are. We're working towards our goals, continuing to push forward. This is my first podcast of the month of August, and I think it'll be a good one today because we got a couple things to go over, and a lot of it's related to current events of what's going on, even more recently, what happened over the weekend at some of the current events and some of the news-related items, which I'm not going to get on a political box today, but I am going to talk about the impact that we have on society and things that we do, okay? But the first thing I wanted to share with you is I actually hopped on and had a great opportunity this week to be able to hop onto a fellow podcaster's platform, and his name is Darryl Perry, and he's a guy that talks a lot about fitness and talks a lot about mind over matter and talking about achieving your goals and really has a lot of great content and a lot of great things, and he struggles with stuff himself, and he really puts stuff out there to be able to change people's views on what fitness looks like and what putting the work in and grinding it out and putting one foot in front of the other. So if you haven't had a chance to check him out, he has a really good podcast, has a good message. He's over on Instagram and he's on Spotify and he's got his podcast and everything else. But it's really incredible, some of the stuff that he does, and I'm really inspired by a lot of the stuff that he does too. So if you check it out, it's at the Darryl Perry, DARYL PERRY podcast, and check him out over there, right? I'll put a link down below to the episode that we did together, he and I, where we sat down and we talked a lot about my journey, and we talked about the vision of what we want to do, and we talked a lot about men's health, and we really had a great conversation. It was almost an hour long, and we just filled the air with a lot of good dialogue about a lot of stuff that I feel is so important. I have a feeling we'll probably do it again. And I just wanted you guys to go check that out. Go over there, give them some love. Maybe on iTunes, give them a couple of comments or anything like that, or go give them some feedback. But like I said, I'll put a link in the body of this podcast for you to be able to go check it out and see what the episode sounded like. So that way you can celebrate and where we were at. And it was a really good conversation and a good podcast. So Daryl, thanks so much for having me over on your podcast this week. And in the future here, as I make progressions towards doing interviews myself, maybe we'll have you back over here on our end to hear your story and where you're at with everything, okay? All right, guys, so we're going to get this podcast started here. Remember, we're in the month of August. We had a lot go on over this last week, over this past weekend, and there's a lot of things that I was reflecting on over the weekend itself, okay? So let's get this thing going. So, as a lot of you know, as a lot of you are watching probably pretty religiously or adamantly over this last weekend, we saw a lot going on in current events, right? Out in Dayton, Ohio, out in El Paso, Texas, the Garlic Festival out in California. And, we're in a state of affairs in this country nowadays that it's almost a mind-numbing normal occurrence that happens in the world that it's really difficult, right? So the reason I'm talking to you on the podcast is because that's what I want to do on this thing, right? I want to be able to talk about things that are relevant to me, that make me reflect on who I am as a person and how to be the best version of me. But a lot of times when we go through situations where it might be depressing, or we go through situations where we're looking at things that are going on around us that aren't really good situations, and it puts us in a frame of depression, or puts us in a frame of just being down in the dumps, or not feeling great, or having difficult conversations, or those kind of things. This podcast here is therapeutic for me, like I always say to you, because I can go to you guys and I can talk to you about how I'm feeling, about where I'm at with everything, and I'm hoping that you can do the same and get the same thing from it as I'm talking to you about it. So again, a lot went on this last weekend. I'm sitting there. My family was up in Canada, okay? So they drove up to visit family. They were up there for just a couple days. They went up there for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I was down here in Scarborough. I had to work, and then, I stayed back over the weekend. So basically, as I was here on the weekend and having a good weekend that was going on, all of a sudden I get all these news reports, and my phone starts blowing up, and my TV starts going. And, I'm in this place where I'm looking at all this chaos and drama and murder and senseless mayhem that was going on in these two locations, where these despicable, gross, disgusting acts of people went out there to do the things that they did and murder innocent people and all that stuff. And this podcast is not going to be about gun control. This isn't going to be around all these other aspects of where we're at with it, because I don't want to have that conversation, because there's so many differing views on it that, my stance is so minuscule and small and tiny that it doesn't really matter. But here's the thing. So as I'm watching it, I'm thinking to myself how I'm processing through it, and I couldn't take my eyes off the screen, which is sad amongst itself, right? Because I think that sometimes we live in the drama of others, or we live in the chaos of whatever it is. And so you're drawn in and you're sucked into a situation where it's unfortunate and it's devastating and it's so sad and all of these things. And my heart and thoughts and prayers go out to all of those that were affected and that are going to be affected moving forward, because this isn't going away. And some of the things that I was thinking of and as I was reflecting on really does have to do with our journeys and where we're at every single day. I think about the people that are doing these types of things. I think about some of the folks that are lost, some of the folks that are mentally incapable of being able to decipher between right and wrong, or if they do, their ideology or the way that they think about things are just so strong that they're going to keep on doing the things that they do, and they think that this is the way to resolve whatever situations that are there, by murdering innocent people or creating chaos and panic amongst others, or trying to change the view of other people by doing things, or whatever it is that their view is. So there's two prongs to it. One of them is the people that are doing it, the mental capacity and the mental health of those individuals is really important, because I feel as if we in general, in society, no matter where we're at, don't go and fix some of these situations that are going on out there, the way people are feeling, the way people are acting. We don't look at triggers and signs and act upon them and get help for people and help people understand. I mean, I can walk down the road, and here I am in Portland, Maine, okay? I'm up here in a small town, and I can walk down the road near the homeless shelters and around the outerlying areas, and I can see people that are definitely not necessarily getting the help that they need mentally and get the mental health capacity or the things that they need to get done. And I see these people broken, and I see them devastated. So in our society in general, here I am in small town Portland, Maine, and I look around at all these different situations. We got to do something about mental health. We have to. There's got to be something done. We have to be able to create a framework that we can build a system of support that can help individuals get through some of the schizophrenic ideas, some of the ideas of depression. Listen, I'm a food addict. And many times that I've talked about so many times on this podcast before, I've been down the road of depression. I've been down the road of self-sabotage. I've been down the road of feeling down in the dumps and not feeling like I can come out of any kind of, in any area of light whatsoever. I've been down that road, and I know, I get it. I don't get it maybe at the capacity that others do, that are well beyond repair or those kind of things, or need more therapeutic help. And that's one of the reasons why on this podcast, we always talk about the fact that you need to go get help. Go to the doctor, get checked out, go do the things that are necessary for you to do, that you can get the help that's needed, seek refuge in the fact that you can vent to somebody, talk it out with somebody, even if it's all the way down to the point where they're going to prescribe you something that you can mentally be able to right size those synapses going on in your brain to be able to think about things and adjust and respond in a healthy fashion, right? Okay. So that's the first part that I was thinking of is the overall concept that we've got to get help for people. We just do. If anybody out there right now that tries to lose weight or that has bad self-image or that has thoughts of suicide or anything like that, get the help that's necessary. Find a suicide hotline. Find somewhere that you can go to. Go to a pro bono doctor if you can't afford the insurance or can't afford the visit to a doctor. Go see somebody. Go get the help that's necessary, okay? I know from personal experience that these things help. When I was in the Navy, I did 10 years in the Navy, and I was out there doing the things that I needed to do. And when I got out of the Navy, I had a really, really difficult time transitioning from the Navy to the civilian world because it was camaraderie, it was friendships, it was the bubble that the Navy created for me. And now I'm in the real world, and now I'm facing real decisions and real society and real bills and real chaos that goes on out there. And I had to go get help because I couldn't handle it on my own. I started to get depressed. I started to get down in the dumps. I started to feel the feeling that I was away from my comfort zone and then also scared for being out in the real world. So I went and got help as per the advice of a friend. And it was the best decision I ever made. Because I sat down and I was able to talk to somebody about my problems, really just lay it out there and get it out into the universe, which is what this podcast also does for me, is to be able to just get stuff out in the universe that I can get off my chest. And here's the thing. If you go get help, keep working at it. Stay consistent. Don't think that one session is just going to be your end-all, be-all magic pill. Go continue to seek help. If you have thoughts of certain things, whether it's suicide, whether it's depression, whether it's just self-sabotage or self-harming or anything like that, go get the help that's necessary. Please do. I can't say it enough, okay? The second thing is we as a society need to focus in on doing more positive things. I posted the other day on my regular Facebook page, and it resonated with me. Okay, so here was the timeline of what I was looking at. So I was watching CBS Sunday Morning, and on CBS Sunday Morning, they were celebrating its 50 years since the amazing, incredible music festival called Woodstock has happened up in Woodstock, New York, okay? And this was 50 years ago that artists like, as you all know, or as many of you know, Joe Cocker, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Crosby, Stills and Nash, Creedence Clearwater Revival, all these bands got up on the stage and they were up there jamming out. And they were all had one theme in common, all of them. It was all about peace and love, right? 50 years ago, almost 500,000 people all got together on this huge place on this farm where there was no violence and there was no fighting and there was no guns and there was no shooting and there was nothing like that. Everybody got together in one huge farm 50 years ago, sat down on a place and was able to celebrate in peace, love, and harmony. And some of the not greatest conditions, when rainstorms are coming in, it was mudslides, there was all kinds of other stuff going on. Barely any food, bathrooms were out of whack, all kinds of stuff. But 500,000 people were all together in peace, love, and harmony. Now, it's a different time, and I know that. We're in an age right now, we're in a place right now that people are mean. People are mean-spirited. They have anger in their hearts a lot of times. There's a lot of stuff going on. They don't want to be around public settings. They don't want to be around other people or compacted in. Where today, if you put 500,000 people in a park listening to music, what do you think would happen? I mean, really? Do you think it would go over just like it did back in Woodstock? No, I don't think so. Because we're wired differently now. But here's the thing. Why can't we get back to some of those basics? Why can't we get back to the basic fundamentals of doing good for other people, investing in others, giving back to others, smiling every once in a while, being a positive influence on human nature, adding positive momentum to people's lives all around you? You know I've talked about this on many podcasts before, but it's so important that we get to a place that we can actually do something for other people rather than take away. Rather than us sitting back and looking at other people and degrading them or berating them or judging them based on their color, based on who they are as a person, based on what they're wearing or those kind of things. A lot of the situations where these shooters and these people that are out there doing all these things, they're products of an environment built around the fact that they were picked on, they were bullied. They weren't part of the cool kid club. They were outcasts. They were people that they were loners and those kind of things. And predominantly, that's the situation where this is their way of lashing back out against society and whatever, which doesn't justify that. Trust me, I condemn all of it. But here's the thing. Why did we get to the situation that we got to? One, we never helped them, or we never got them the help that was necessary. We never gave them the true sense of, here's how we can help you. Here's some therapeutic ways to be able to do so. Here's some medicine to be able to help you out. All the different things that we could try to do. Now, maybe some people are just born to be crazy, right? I get that. I do. But at the end of the day, if we don't do better at being able to outfit these people with coping skills and mechanisms for them to be able to help, and then stop doing the things that we do as society, especially our kids nowadays, where we pick on each other and we run all over each other. And social media is such an evil place at times where people just berate each other and downplay each other and make fun of each other. We're in such a weird place that it's a society that I look back and I go, man, what kind of difference can I make? Because we're in such a dark cloud right now. But if I can do what I do, where I'm at, and influence the people I'm around, one day at a time, one action at a time, one thing that I can do to be able to add to anybody's life that's positive, that's what I'm going to do. And that's what I recommend all of you guys do. If we can all step back and just do a positive thing for somebody else, how good is that going to be? How important is it that we can sit back and we can look at each other and say, I'm going to do a positive thing for you. I'm going to be a positive influence on you. I'm going to add value to your life, and I'm going to add some sort of positive momentum for you to feel like you're worthy. Instead of breaking someone down, instead of making fun of someone, instead of berating somebody because of their decisions, their views, their values, their visions, whatever it is that's there, instead of doing all that, lift them up and support them and encourage them and continue to elevate them. That's so much It's so important in society today, but we don't do it enough. We don't. We decide, like, I know all of us are guilty of it, including me. We look at TV, we might see somebody on TV or somebody that's in an unfortunate situation, or we look at a video on YouTube or whatever it is that has something happening to somebody or whatever, and we can't take our eyes off of it, or we look at it and we judge it, and we internally make these judgment calls to people that have it look like they're all put together, and we start breaking even those people down, that we like look at them and say, oh, they must have always had money, or they must have always had personal trainers or whatever. Who cares? Listen, what you need to do is focus on you. You need to focus on you as a person, how you can make a positive influence on society, on the things that you can do, and how you can change the world with your own two hands, just like the song says. And here's the thing. If you can do that, and you can focus on what you do and the impact that you have, and we all can start to do that, and it can start to spread around. It's not as kumbaya and unicorn laden as Woodstock, where it's all peace, love, and harmony, but it's more about positive impact on the world. What we can do as society, one person at a time. If I can know that I'm going to make a positive impact on society and the world, I can continue to do that and stay consistent with that. And hopefully that will inspire somebody else to do that. And then they can focus on being that positive influence and making a positive impact on the world. So that's two people doing it. And then those two people can then have a couple other people that look at it and say, wow, they're really making a good impact. I want to do the same. Now I'm going to make it a positive impact on life. You see what I'm saying? And the next thing you know, it's a viral and everybody's doing it. And then we can start to change the world a little bit better. Just even if it's a small amount, where we can start to invest in other people and make people that are less fortunate, or people that are in situations where mental health is an issue, or any of those things, make them feel a little bit better. Because at the end of the day, I think all of us, in one form or fashion or another, all of us have mental health issues. All of us. Every one of us. You may think you've got everything put all together, but what happens when life happens and drama happens? We slide right into some of those situations where it may not be as catastrophic as some people's mental health issues, but everybody has a little bit. Self-image is the big one. Do you feel depressed when you look in the mirror? Do you look at yourself and say, I wish that I was somebody else, or I wish that somewhere in your life, have you ever had suicidal thoughts? Have you ever had hormonal imbalance where you're like really just out there and you're like thinking to yourself just these crazy thoughts about different things? Internally, you never really externalize them, but you have them internally. All of us have them. The key to it is, how do we approach them? How do we go get the help that's necessary? Do we have an outlet that we can talk to? I've got you. I've got a podcast. I've got a microphone. I've got a mixer. And I've got all of you that are listening to this podcast right now, that I know that if I need to vent about something and get my mind right and tight about things, I know I can do that. I've also got social media, the positive end of the social media, the people that I know that are influencers that can help me, the people that I know that have become friends of mine throughout the whole entire time of this social media journey. I know that I have those in my corner for my people. And I know that I have family members that I know that I can reach out to be able to say, hey, I'm not feeling good. This is where I'm at with this. I'm feeling down in the dumps. I'm feeling like I'm a failure. I feel like I can't lose weight. I can't get to my run goals. I can't do whatever. And although you might think that those are superfluous little surface level things, those are major things in a lot of people's lives. And one of the other things that I wanted to talk about is if we are positive influences on people. I shared it on No Finish Line Nation. Any of you that are listening to this podcast that are on No Finish Line Nation, which is our closed Facebook group over on Facebook, okay? So if you do want to check it out, it's at No Finish Line Nation. Just type it in the search bar when you get into the Facebook. You'll see us in there. Request to come on in. You're going to get a lot of love and encouragement. But here's the one thing that I noticed, just a small amount, but I noticed. People were on there talking about how they were celebrating on how they lost some weight doing certain things. So whether it was keto, whether it was Jenny Craig, whatever it was, people were saying that they were celebrating in this moment and they were in a good place and they felt like They wanted to talk to others that can relate to their story and relate to where they're at. But instead of celebrating and all of that, there was a lot of great comments, don't get me wrong, a lot of love, a lot of lifting up to say, great job, congratulations, I heard keto works, these kind of things. But there was also this underlying tone of people that were wanting to break them down. You shouldn't do that. Your doctor, or my doctor said that that's wrong. You should be careful of those kind of things. Don't do those kind of things because that's not sustainable and it's not long term and it's not. Listen, why even say anything? What's the reason? Why can't you lift somebody up that's living in a good place at that moment in time? They're feeling good about themselves. We need to start to lift people up, have a positive influence on people. This person wanted to celebrate in the fact that they're feeling good about themselves. Their mind feels like they're in a good place. They've gotten rid of a lot of those mental monkeys, and they're really working forward, and they really love where they're at right now. So they wanted to celebrate with people, and people were celebrating for the most part, but then there was those that were like, listen, like, what are you doing? And they wanted to break them down. Why? What's the reason that we have to feel like we have to be the ones to do that? I know that family members that give you tough love, they feel like they have to do the same thing. Friends that are really close to you feel like they have to do the same thing, but they really don't. They don't have to. They can give you advice if you ask for it. They can help you to give you resources if you ask for it or you're trying to be able to go to it. But how about we just start to flip the script a little bit and just start to give people positive reinforcement and some love instead of hate and discontent? That's really where we need to be. I hope that message resounds with you guys. That's the reflection that I had when I walked away this weekend, was I feel as if we're at a turning point in this society where we're in such a dark place that I feel like if we could just get some more positivity out there, some more movement in the right direction. And I know all the political pundits and all the people are going to talk about gun control, and they're going to talk about the mental health system and racism and all those different things that are out there. And I know that they're part of where we're at. They're part of the whole dynamic of everything, and I know they make things difficult, and I get it. But all I can do is focus on me as a person. How good of a person can I be to help others get through different situations? Volunteering, giving back, lifting people up, going and doing things for others for no reason, for no self-gratification, no grandiose stuff, no anything like that. Just going and doing and giving back to others and helping others and lifting their day up, because you never know what kind of impact that you can have on someone's life if they are suffering from mental health issues or depression or anything. Lift people up. Just do it. Stop breaking people down. Use social media for what it was originally intended for. Talk to people about the positives that they're doing. Celebrate in that. Look at them and say, I'm proud of you. How hard is it for you to say to somebody, I am proud of you, instead of, yeah, but, or you could have, but, or whatever. Let's get out of that mode. Let's do the things that we need to do to make ourselves in a more positive place and then bring other people up and lift others in the same time, okay? Have a great week, everybody. Let's get into a positive place. Let's do the things that are necessary, because if you can get to that positive place, you will be more apt to being successful in everything you're trying to accomplish, because you're going to start to feel good about where you're at with things. And if you start to feel good about where you're at, you can change the world. Seriously. You can accomplish whatever it is you set your mind to if you feel good about yourself. So get yourself to that place where you can start to actually feel good about yourself, okay? We'll talk later, guys. See ya. Thank you so much for listening to Coffee Talk with Liquidshano 1973 podcast. You can also find us on all other social media platforms like Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook just by looking up Liquidshano 1973. If you get a chance, hop on over to iTunes, scroll all the way to the bottom, and leave some feedback about our podcast, because we'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening.